Blessed are you, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thou the altars of time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, holding light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Our nights are about to union. Everlasting God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, our night, who brings on evening.
Baruch atah Adonai, Hamari Baravi.
Alleluia.
Standing on the broad shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood on a nice foot, that wherever we go is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, the promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through on us. There is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
Stronger than his own. Praised are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Please join me on page 160. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom, aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. will rise for Tefillah, and we will chant the first 3 blessings together, and then from that point forward, you're invited to pray silently on your own, at your own pace, using the words of the prayer book to page 180, or just allowing your own prayers to make themselves known to you, and you can be seated when your prayers are finished. So we will begin together. Please rise, page 164.
Shalom Rabbi Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam V'tov be'enecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael V'chol leit u'v'chol sha'at V'shomecha Shalom Rabbi Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Shalom Rabbi Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Tasim Leolam
We take a moment now to offer prayer of healing of body, mind, or spirit. And in a moment, we'll join together in Shabbat, which is on page 371. And again, if you have those skinny books, the page numbers in the brackets, page 371. And this week, we are especially sending our prayers for healing to Miriam Swidler, Henry Resnikoff, Barbara Neeson, Danny Rudak, Patricia Chadwick, Deb Ruddy, Barry Rippin, Ron Gister, Rachel Joya, Sybil Reno, Terry Baran, Corinne Greenblatt Schlessel, Morris Gallant, Martin Yoklik, Peggy Tunick, Harvey Redak, Reagan Konecki, Louise Ross, Joe Watanabe, and Linda Fall. If there are other names of folks you're thinking of for healing, you can say their names as my eyes pass around the room. Nicholas Slice.
Maxine Schaefer, Mark Stevens.
We also take a moment to think about good things in our lives, things that we're grateful for, and then we'll say a blessing for that. So just take a moment to bring something good to mind, and then if you want to share it, you'll be able to share it. So good thing. Would anyone like to share their good thing? Yeah.
Peace returns on Sunday morning. Sunday school shop.
Two things. Other good stuff. Big or small?
I was recognized by the Board of Education this week for volunteer work at schools that I am doing.
Oh, that's wonderful. You deserve that. It's a lot. Other good things? She took yours. You can repeat it. Yeah. Your bar mitzvah tomorrow. Yeah. All right. Laura?
I was just going to say I got the box to work.
Yay!
So we're live streaming.
We are live streaming.
It took about 10 minutes, but we're there.
Thank you, volunteers. Oh my God. Thank you. Any other good stuff?
Thank you, then, all our families, widespread areas in which we all live. There's absence of life, absence
I'm happy on my husband's behalf that he is in San Francisco right now with his side of the family celebrating the wedding of a cousin. And I am grateful for some of the aspects of being a single mom this week. So some of that. So for all of these good things, we sing Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hatov v'hametiv. Praised are you, Adonai, our God. Your presence fills creation. You are good, and you make good things happen. I just have a few announcements. The most important one being tomorrow morning at 10:30, we'll celebrate Shabbat and the bar mitzvah of Gabriel Sirat. On Sunday morning at 9:30, religious school begins for the year, and we also have a Books and Bagels program. This is part of our free series of programs where we bring in authors. We have author Charles Barber talking about his book, Comfortably Numb, How Psychiatry is Medicating the Nation. It's part of a theme that we've been pursuing in various ways as a congregation of bringing attention to mental health issues. And next Friday night, we have the final installment of our Elul series. We'll have Sarah and Amy Berzin, sisters, each of whom went to Israel during this past year, and they will be speaking about those experiences. A reminder that we continue to have our meditation group every Thursday evening from 7 to 8. Yoga is happening now only on Tuesday and Wednesday mornings at 9 o'clock. There are no longer any Friday morning yoga sessions. Mahjong is happening on Wednesdays from 1 to 3. You can just show up, or you can email Beth Gottlieb. And we want to thank the Cohen family for providing the Oneg Shabbat tonight in honor of Gabriel's bar mitzvah. So thank you, Rachel, on behalf of your whole family. Okay. So I'm going to get our microphone ready and invite up in a moment Haddas. So Haddas Rubin, I don't know how long you've been a member of our congregation. Quite a while. 8 years. And is originally from Israel, and she'll tell you all the rest. But this is really about her connection, her relationship with this place that we care so much about. So I'm so pleased that you're willing to share your stories with us.
Thank you for asking me. Shabbat Shalom. I'm not a public speaker or anything, so excuse me if I...
Just talk loud.
Excuse me if I will have a few and whatever. So the topic was what Israel means to me, but I think the rabbi was suggesting that I will tell the story about my father. And I can't tell you everything because it will take quite a while. Okay. I hope, I believe everybody here heard about kibbutz in Israel. I was born and raised there. A kibbutz is a commune living, and it was the earliest kibbutz started in the beginning. It's about 100 years old, and it's near the Sea of the Galilee. but the kibbutz that I came from is called Ein Harod Ichud. It's geographically placed in a valley that's called the Jezreel Valley. And the pioneers who came there happened to find a spot where there is a kind of mythical story that they liked that place because it was under the mountain, the Gilboa Mountain, and it reminded them of the landscape that was back home, like Switzerland mountains or Russia, Poland, and wherever. They're mostly Eastern European. Later on came, when the kibbutz was established, about in 1930, or could have been earlier, a lot of Germans came from Germany. So my story will focus primarily on my father. His name is Michael Levy, and he came to live on the kibbutz in the middle of 1930. His story will actually highlight the contribution of the kibbutzim to the Israeli society. When my father's name is Michael, and Michael was about 10 years old, his mother died of cancer, and his father abandoned both him and his brother Benjamin. They were living a meager life in Jaffa. And Jaffa is a bordering town to Tel Aviv. His mother, Yocheved, was working as a laundress and trying to assimilate in a place that was a bedlam. Jaffa was in bad shape then. And it was ruled by the British Army. And mainly it was an Arabic town. After her death, my father worked for the Arabs, doing chores to make some money. He attended school very infrequently. He tried to run away a few times from his Orthodox rabbis who wanted to keep him in the cheder, which was the old-fashioned, Hebrew yeshiva. Still is existing in different places in Israel and here. It was just too restrictive for him. And that was about the only place where he could go to school at the time, I guess in the area in Jaffa. And he was a very active young boy, and he was fearless, and so he would find himself running to the beach, because Jaffa is right on the beach, or he went to the Yarkon, which is the Tel Aviv sort of a river. It was a beautiful river in those days. Today, I don't even know how big it is, but it's extremely dirty and polluted. But back to his troubles. He was a troubled young man, and he kept running away from school. And the rabbis used to spank if you were bad, and it was the way to teach in those days. They either spanked the hand, or you got spanked plenty of times, but the body was tough. So now he has truancy in school, and he's swimming in the river. And actually, that swimming, he became such a great swimmer that when he served in the Jewish-British Brigade in Israel, he swam the Suez Canal, if you all know, in Egypt, and for the British Army, and it was a competitive swimming. So he crossed the canal. That's how strong he was. A very strong man, very broad-shouldered, and a very handsome man. But in the meantime, It's not so chaotic now. A few years go by, not many, but anyway, this is historic. It's a little complicated. But nowadays, there is a movement that's called Youth Aliyah. It's a young Aliyah in immigration. So young people's immigration was effective in helping troubled young children and finding them places to live. And they found him. They caught him. They told him where he's going to go, and they sent him to a kibbutz. Why am I telling you this is because Youth Aliyah was one of enormous help to a lot of people in Israel, because so many immigrants came unable to provide food to their children, unable to send them to take care of them. Youth Aliyah would find places for them, and mostly it was instead of orphanage, sending the children to an orphanage, they put them in kibbutzim. In kibbutz, a communal society where it's very well organized. The society is extremely organized. It's the members there have built it upon the ideas that everyone is equal, and even to the extent that at the beginning there was no salaries to speak of. You worked as much as you could, and the ones who were unable to work as hard as some others, everyone were equally taken care of. So now if you send those children to school, they would assimilate easily. They would go to school with the kibbutz children. The kibbutz children were living in children's houses anyway, and they would see their parents in the evening. So these young people would basically live in their own little children's houses, sometimes with the children of the kibbutz, sometimes not. Instead, they would have their family of their own, and sometimes they would come to the children's houses, the parents of those children. And to tell you from experience, I know that it was extremely successful, because there were many of these children who then became wonderful members of the kibbutz and contributed a lot to the society. So, to that respect, this is what my father went through all these stages. And it's not just him, it's also, I'm trying to explain, it's also others like him, or even in worse conditions. But, so he came to Enchod, and after he tried several kibbutzim, which he didn't like, this one, that one, he came to be in the kibbutz where he met my mother. And my mother had just lost her father. They had met maybe a year later after that happened. And they became very close. And my mother had her mother at the kibbutz. My grandmother was a fantastic chef. And she cooked for, in those days, maybe there were 120 members or something. She cooked exclusively by herself. And my grandma used to say, she was a little tiny woman, and she said to me, "Oh, Haddas, you know, I cooked in those days for all these young men. They loved my soup, and guess what? Sometimes they ate all the soup, and I didn't have any soup left. I stuck in the hose, and I filled the water into the big pot, and they loved it anyway." She was fantastic. She was amazing. She carried these huge things. She worked up until she was 81, and she couldn't stay home. So she was so funny, and unfortunately, her husband died really early on at the, before my mother got married. He died of appendicitis, and he was, I have to tell you something before I finish, just because I have 10 minutes. I'm good, I'm doing okay, thank you. I want to tell you that in those days, in the 20s, late 20s, mid 20s, the second, third aliyah, which means immigration, the people that came immigrating from Eastern Europe, Germany, mostly in those days. It was an exclusive club to be in a kibbutz, to get into a kibbutz. You couldn't just walk in and say, I want to become a member. You had to have a background, you had to be educated in a Hebrew school, and you had to learn Hebrew songs, and you had to know how to do all kinds of things that will help to build up the community. You had to be, immersed in all of the books and the idealism and Marx and so forth and this. And it was not easy. My grandfather was not a Zionist. He didn't have that education. So how would they now, as I read to you, Tel Aviv was really hard. You had to fight all sorts of different powers. And it was easier to come to kibbutz because everybody together would start a life. So now, my grandfather figured out, my mother was just about he figured out that if he would become a baker, he heard that people were just getting sick in the kibbutz because nobody knew how to bake bread. So he figured out, here he is, he never knew how to bake. He happened to be in Germany working there because I guess Poland didn't have much of a job. They came from Poland. So he learned how to make yeast. There was no yeast in those days. You could buy powdered yeast. He just learned how to make the chemicals, the bacteria, to make yeast and then to prepare the bread and then bake it. So he had a skill that now they needed that, and he knew they needed it, and they'll take him. Even though he was not a Zionist, he didn't have all the qualification. So he got to the kibbutz and alone without my grandma and mother, and he baked the bread. It was good, and he told my grandmother that he's sending her the money to come to the kibbutz, and she left her family there. There were, I don't know how many people in her family. They didn't want to arrive. They didn't want to go to Israel. It was in the late 20s, and my mother was just about 4 years old. Her family, my grandmother's family, never wrote to her. They completely ignored the fact that she was alive. They shed shiva over her, and it was really very hard. But now she reunited with but she was a wonderful cook, so that's what she did. But just telling you what it was like, it was not easy. And I know that many of the kibbutzim really contributed so much to the country because they had what regular bourgeois family did not have, and that is the ability to sacrifice your individuality and to actually give of yourself to others without really asking for much. And mostly in the earlier, like 40 some odd years ago. And today it's a lot different. Still, the kibbutzim manufacture the best fighters in the Israeli army than even the city does too, but as a whole, you have more kibbutzim. The kibbutzim were exclusive society. I remember if we went somewhere and we were from the kibbutz, we thought we were the best ones in the city. We didn't know anything about city life, but we were the best ones. So, so these are like little things of my story of where I come from. So I came from a kibbutz, and there were, my father accomplished a lot in his life. He did so many things. And at the end of his life, he actually became a social worker, and he sort of invented a job for himself because he was retired. It was a volunteer job that the kibbutz given to the army, where he would take soldiers who were in prison and for so long, and for lack of knowing really what they were doing in the army, they would just leave camps and stuff and do other things because they did not have the education to an idea that they're really fighting for a country that they were living in and that was necessary. So he would take some of these soldiers that didn't have even trials. They would see quite a bit in prison, and he would try to get them trials and find them jobs. And he did, many of them. And that was that's the end of my story. Thank you for listening.
Haddas, I don't know, I didn't ask you this before, but I'm wondering if you'd be willing to answer questions if people have questions for you.
Sure.
Would you come back up here? I wonder if anyone, just questions about kibbutz, questions about being harod or life, I don't know. I mean, I know I have a question, but I want to see if there are others who might have any questions.
Anyone have something?
Yeah,
Okay, Haddas, so now, do you have siblings, brothers and sisters?
Yes. 3, we were 4 girls.
So now, you lived in a children's house then?
Exactly.
So did you sleep there and then just visit with your parents? Like
Yes, I didn't want to tell you all of the...
tell us a little bit about living in a children's house.
Not easy.
Interesting. Yeah.
You know, the thing is, being a kibbutz, you have to be a tough person. You can't be, you know, a softie. It's hard if you're soft and easily hurt. For instance, funny things. Not funny, or whatever you would like. In my time, today it's not anything like that. But when all of my sisters, except the youngest one, my younger sister may not have everything that we have. But when my mother was, after she delivered us, or me, let's say, she brought me home from the hospital. I was born in a full-life town, small town. They have a nice hospital. And where did I go? I went to the nursery. Boom. You're brought up to the nursery, and the mother, for 6 weeks, I think, maybe, if it was possible, she'd come and nurse you a few times a day and go home. So, you know, sometimes she would take you for a walk, and come to bathe you every day, up until she starts working. So I believe in my time, in my older sister's time, and the third sister may have been better. But still, she was so busy. She said, I'm so busy, I'm working at the cows, I'm feeding, I'm picking up hay, and this is such a hard job. She said, I didn't have any milk anymore, so we had to do bottle feeding. And it was really hard for the mothers. Some, like I said, some more, some less. Some mothers loved it because the parents went and snored at night, and the children having a choir.
So just to make it clear, there was always an adult in
Yes,
the nursery, right?
A
Parent.
It's a woman who's in charge at night, but she had to be in charge of quite a few houses. She didn't have an intercom yet in those days, so she did, you know, a night shift around, and there was another one. There were a few of them, and all night they were up, you know, looking for the babies. One baby right there, one baby right there. You know, how you could cry all night. So, you know, that's what you learn from young age. And you might cry why, maybe, you know, someone will come and be saying, well, you gotta be tough. This is what it was about. Being tough means better soldiers, better workers, tough people, you know. So, like they say, Israeli are called sabar, which is a cactus. The fruit of the cactus has all these sharp needles, or whatever you call them, and they can be horrible if you pick it without a glove. They will sting you, and they, you know. So the Israeli is sabar because outside is very rough, but inside is very soft and sweet. So, any other question?
Maybe one more question? That was my question.
Okay.
Wow. Thank you, Haddas. And hopefully, if you have other questions over coffee and cookies later, you can talk more with Haddas about Israel. I actually worked in a children's house. I lived on a kibbutz for a year of high school, and in the same area in the Jezreel Valley. Actually, I took violin lessons at Ein Chorod Music School, but I don't know if it was Ichud or Mi'uchad. Yeah.
I think.
But I would, yeah. Yeah. So right, it was a music school on the kibbutz, either the one that Haddas was on or the one up the road. But I was helped the metapelet. I helped the woman who worked in one of the children's houses on my kibbutz. But at that time, the kids were able to sleep at home with their parents, and they would just be in the children's house during the day. But I would get their meals from the dining hall, and I washed the floors, and you know, now I'm a real Sabra. Not really. All right, we're going to continue now with Aleinu, page 586. Please rise. And may we never lift up our hand, but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace.
Ayon
We think of our loved ones now, those whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for blessing. This week we mark the yahrzeits of Mary Oster, Morris Divins, Raymond Fielding, Herman Frankel, Murray Goldstein, Ruth Gottlieb, Irene Kemp, Lowell Klappholtz, Henry Price, Doris Reiner, Saul Seligman, Irving Sogoloff, Bernard Strick, Felix Wald, and Morris Wolfe. And we also call to mind those who were laid to rest during this past month. Hazel Archambault, mother of Ray Archambault, Nancy Ryder, sister of Marcia Myers, and William Conaghy, father of Sean Conaghy. And if there are other folks you're thinking of for Kaddish, you can say those names at this time. Mourners and those who wish to join them, please rise. Kaddish is on page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrach v'yiteh v'yamlith malchuteh, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayeh t'chol Beit Yisrael, v'agala v'lizman kari v'yimru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevorach le'olam lo'me'anaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'ushat v'rifun. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran v'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Useh shalom v'ramav, U'yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Amen. Be the source of peace, send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved, and we say, Amen. We'll all stand together for our closing song, Hava Nashira, page 643. Hava Nashira. Shir hallelujah, shir hallelujah, Hava, Hava nashira, shir hallelujah, shir hallelujah, Hava, Hava nashira, shir hallelujah, shir hallelujah, Hava, Hava nashira, shir hallelujah.
This is normally